You buy a flight for €29 and think it's a steal. Then you don't get assigned a seat unless you pay. Then your carry-on costs extra. Then printing your boarding pass costs extra. Then you get to the gate and standing boarding is somehow more expensive. By the time you get on the plane, you've spent more than you planned. And somehow, you still feel like you got a deal. Welcome to the world of Ryanair. Ryanair is one of Europe's largest airlines. In 2024, they carried over 180 million passengers, more than British Airways, Air France, and KLM combined. Their fleet is mostly Boeing 737s. They fly short routes across Europe. But their numbers are not what makes them fascinating. It's their business model. To understand Ryanair, you have to forget what you think an airline should be. Most airlines make money on ticket prices. Ryanair makes most of its money on everything else. Tickets are bait. Everything else is the hook. Let's break this down. In 2024, Ryanair reported total revenues above €13 billion. But here's the shocker. Up to 40% of that came from ancillary fees, not ticket sales. That means fees, baggage, priority boarding, seat selection, food, printing, insurance, fast track, you name it. Almost half of the money Ryanair collects isn't from people buying flights. That's insane. Consider this. If you book a €29 flight and pay €25 for a checked bag, €10 for a seat, €6 for priority boarding, and €5 to print your boarding pass at the airport, suddenly your cheap flight is €75. And Ryanair is fine with that, because Ryanair's real profit isn't in selling seats. It's in selling every optional thing connected to them. This is called a no-frills à la carte model. And Ryanair perfected it long before à la carte became a buzzword. Let's take baggage as an example. Most traditional airlines include one carry-on and maybe a checked bag. Ryanair? Basic fare includes nothing but your body. Want a cabin bag? Pay more. Want a seat assignment? Pay more. Want priority boarding? Pay more. Even getting to the airport early with your luggage is a chargeable privilege. And this gets repeated across tens of millions of bookings every year. If Ryanair can make €15 extra per customer on optional fees, that's hundreds of millions of euros annually. And because many travelers only compare base ticket prices, they fail to see the full picture until they're already committed. But the genius is deeper than fees. Ryanair perfected cost control. Their planes are all the same model. Boeing 737, 800 or 737 MAX. That means cheaper maintenance, faster training, simpler operations, fewer spare parts. This is the exact opposite of legacy airlines that operate multiple plane types, each with its own cost center. Ryanair also squeezes every minute of every hour. They turn planes around at airports in as little as 25 minutes. Compare that to many major carriers that take 45 to 60 minutes for a turnaround. Every minute on the ground is money lost. Ryanair makes money by living on the runway. Their pilots and crew work under tight schedules designed to keep flights moving instead of parked. That's operational discipline most airlines would envy. Now let's talk about airports. Ryanair doesn't fight for prime airports downtown. They choose secondary airports with lower fees. Flying into Dublin's main airport versus Dublin's second airport might save Ryanair millions a year in landing fees alone. And Ryanair passes most of those savings to consumers as a cheap fare, while still keeping the margin. It's simple math. Lower overhead plus extra fees, plus high passenger volume, profit. Speaking of volume, Ryanair runs a point-to-point model. They don't run big hubs that require connecting flights. If someone wants to fly from Berlin to Rome, they fly direct. Less complexity, less cost, more flights. It's opposite to the hub and spoke model used by carriers like Lufthansa or British Airways. But the most fascinating part of Ryanair's strategy has nothing to do with planes, fees, or airports. It's psychology. Ryanair's pricing works like this. Make the base fare look unbelievably cheap so people click. Then the additional fees look reasonable in contrast. It is exactly like those subliminal pricing tricks you see online. €29 looks like a steal. €49 bundled with extras feels like a clear win. People think they saved money even if they spent more than they intended. That is intentional. But Ryanair takes psychology even further. Have you ever seen one of Ryanair's ads? They are cheeky, brash, sometimes aggressive. They deliberately court controversy. That's not bad branding, that's free marketing. When customers complain online, journalists write articles. When travelers debate fees, influencers make videos. Ryanair gets attention for free, and all attention reinforces the idea that their tickets are cheap, even if the final price isn't. This is the paradox of Ryanair. People complain about the add-ons, people grumble about the service, people make memes about the fees, and yet travelers still book flights. Why? Cheap base fares tap into a hope, not a calculation, and hope sells more than logic ever does. Now let's look at real numbers to show how effective this model is. In 2024, Ryanair reported a net profit margin of around 19%, far above most global airlines. For comparison, many legacy carriers operate at single-digit margins, if they are profitable at all. Ryanair's model lets it stay profitable year after year, even when fuel costs spike. Their financial discipline is a huge reason why investors value them so strongly. And let's talk passengers. 180 million flyers in a year means 1 in every 45 Europeans flies Ryanair annually. It's not just a discount airline anymore. It's a mass transit system for the continent. But the model is not without criticism. Ryanair has been accused of misleading pricing, poor customer service, and labor disputes. Some governments have even fined them for failing to disclose fees up front. Yet despite the backlash, the model persists because it works. Ryanair makes money when you buy the ticket, and even more money when you notice the optional extras, or even when you complain about them. That is the paradox of modern low-cost carriers. They sell inconvenience as if it were a feature. They make nickel and dime charges feel like consumer choice. But at scale, those nickels and dimes become hundreds of millions. So the next time you see a flight for €29 and end up paying €89, don't just blame yourself. You're playing a game designed to make you feel like you won, and you won for Ryanair. If you enjoyed this breakdown of how a controversial business model quietly prints profit, subscribe. I unpack real strategies, psychology, and the hidden economics shaping the world every week. See you in the next one.